Studio 31.
You're watching KYOU Fox.
Coming up next on KYOU News for You at 9, a reaction from a local nursing facility following Biden's recent mandate on vaccinations.
Chances for rain are in the not too distant future. We'll have the details on timing and location coming up.
Plus, Governor Reynolds says that she's willing to rehouse Afghanistan refugees, what some are saying about this decision. These stories and more as KYOU News for You at 9 starts right now.
Live from Ottumwa, the news that's important to you. This is KYOU News for You at 9.
Good evening and happy Thursday to you all. I'm Shelby Slaughter. We have several things to cover as we come on the air tonight, so let's go ahead and head over to our top story. An Iowa woman who said she drove her SUV into children in 2019 to try to kill them because of their race has been sentenced to 25 years in prison on federal hate crime charges. Nicole Poole Franklin had already been sentenced to up to 25 years on attempted murder charges in the December 2019 attacks in Des Moines. The sentence will run concurrently with the state punishment, but ensures she will serve longer since the federal system does not have parole. Governor Kim Reynolds said Iowa would welcome refugees from Afghanistan who want to resettle in Iowa. She says their situation is much different from the immigrants coming across the U.S.-Mexico border, and Reynolds refused to accept. Reynolds and Senator Joni Ernst discussed the plans to take refugees while attending the Iowa State Fair on Wednesday. They said they are working with the U.S. Department of State. In April, Reynolds said she refused to a federal request to accept migrant children from the U.S.-Mexico border, saying the state of Iowa doesn't have facilities to house them. Reynolds says the situation is different because those coming from Afghanistan will have special visas and be properly documented. An Iowa lawsuit contends the office of Governor Reynolds is illegally delaying the release of public records related to its $26 million no-bid coronavirus testing contract. Reynolds and her office's public records custodian are the latest officials to be accused of violating open law records. This by a Utah-based company formed to investigate testing programs. Paul Huntsman, chairman of the board of the Salt Lake Tribune, filed open record lawsuits in Utah and Nebraska, and recently against the Iowa Department of Public Health. Now for a story we told you about last week. Just a few weeks ago, a woman shared her story about a dog attack that happened in Bloomfield, Iowa. Tonight, the city council met to revise the dog attack ordinances. During the meeting, council members announced that they are creating a group to help revise the ordinances on dog attacks. Rachel Jones of Bloomfield stepped up to the plate, saying to serve when it comes to revising the ordinances, and one vet from Clearwater was volunteered to join the group. The vet will review the dog's case and decide if it is a danger to people. In an update from the woman who was attacked, she was present at the meeting tonight. She tells us she is going to need surgery due to torn ligaments in her left arm due to those dog attacks. We will continue to follow this story, so for more information, visit our website at KYOU-TV.com. Now let's go ahead and get a check of our first alert forecast as we patiently await for that weekend to come. So here is our meteorologist, Jan Ryherd.
Patiently waiting for the weekend and patiently waiting for a little bit quieter weather in terms of the temperatures. We really could use some cooler temperatures. We could also use a little bit of rain. Fortunately, both of those are in the forecast as we head towards the weekend. Tonight, though, quiet over Ottumwa. Temperatures hanging out at 73 right now, 77 for Mount Pleasant, Washington at 75, as well as in Kirksville and Fairfield at 73. Dew points, though, very sticky right now. Most of us in the 70s and looking like we'll be in those 70s again tomorrow for those dew points. That just means as soon as you step outside, it feels sticky. So another summery day on the way for us tomorrow as temperatures continue to climb into those upper 80s to right around 90. You'll notice increasing cloud cover here through the day tomorrow, but rain chances not looking likely on Friday itself. Looking like those are going to be overnight Friday into Saturday and mostly during the nighttime hours for us. We'll time out that precipitation a little bit more and let you know just how much to expect coming up in just a few.
Thanks, Jan. Yesterday, President Joe Biden announced a new requirement for those in senior living facilities.
Today, I'm announcing a new step. If you work in a nursing home and serve people on Medicare or Medicaid, you will also be required to get vaccinated.
According to the American Health Care Association, nursing homes across the U.S. saw a 96% decline in COVID cases. This 3 months after initial doses were administered to nursing home residents and staff starting in December 2020. Bonnie Shantz with Good American Society here in Ottumwa says vaccination requirements for the staff is a good call.
So it really truly is the safest thing and the right thing to do for our facilities. And we are just so thankful for all of the staff and our healthcare heroes who've gone through this, and they don't want to go through it again, and we don't want them to have to go through it, and we're here for our residents, and at the end of the day, their safety matters.
President and CEO of the Good Samaritan Society released a statement saying the virus is still a very real threat. More contagious variants continue to spread in our communities, and we must do what we can to keep our residents, staff, and their families safe. A big announcement for racing fans. IndyCar Series in Hy-Vee announced a return to the Iowa Speedway. This comes after IndyCar's year hiatus. The series will take place July 23rd through the 24th in 2022.
The competitive edge, the transparency, the integrity of this sport, and that's what we're trying to bring this together. And I can't think of a better name, a better company, and certainly in Iowa, to have the race back at Newton. So to me, it's a pretty fantastic day.
Coming up, Americans needing a booster shot. How will that work with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine? We'll tell you what we know next.
Another hot and humid day on the way for our Friday, but relief is on the way. We'll let you know when that comes, coming up in just a few.
And don't forget, you can connect with KYOU on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And if you have any news tips, email us at news@KYOU-TV.com.
Hey Cardinal fans, I'm Ozzie Smith, the host of Cardinals Insider, the show that takes you behind the scenes with your favorite players from both the past and present. Join us each week as we bring you the team stories from an insider's perspective. And yes, you may even see this guy. Are you hosting this or am I? Watch Sunday nights at 9:30 right here on KYOU. I tell you what, let me see you do a backflip, then we'll talk.
Local news all about you. KYOU-TV 15.
Live from Ottumwa, you're watching News for You at 9. Available anytime on KYOU-TV.com.
Welcome back. I'm Shelby Slaughter. White House officials announced their plan to offer a booster shot to fully vaccinated Americans who got the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, citing new evidence or waning vaccine protection against symptomatic infection over time. But where does that leave the Johnson & Johnson vaccine when it comes to boosters? In the U.S., there are 3 COVID-19 vaccines with emergency use authorization. For 2 of them, the ones made by Pfizer and Moderna, top U.S. health officials now say a booster is needed for adequate protection. For the 2 mRNA vaccines, 3 recent studies found waning protection over time against symptomatic infection, prompting officials to put a booster plan in motion beginning September 20th for those adults who got their second dose of vaccine 8 months ago, all pending the green light from the FDA and CDC. But what about those who received the Johnson & Johnson 1-dose vaccine? They too will likely need a booster.
If you are fully vaccinated, you still have a high degree of protection from the worst outcomes of COVID-19, severe disease, hospitalization, and death.
When that data comes in, U.S. health officials say they'll keep Americans up to date on a timely plan for booster shots for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. As well, Dr. Anthony Fauci says a 3rd dose of vaccine may boost antibodies, which protect against COVID-19 infection tenfold. He says higher levels of antibodies may be required to protect against the Delta variant. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are planning to get their booster shots next month. The president announced on Wednesday that Americans should get boosters 8 months after their second initial dose. The Bidens finished their vaccinations in January. Boosters are expected to become available in September, like we just said, so long as the FDA authorizes them and the CDC agrees. Boosters only apply to Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines once again. For now, it's still not known if people who got the Johnson & Johnson shot will need them. Since that vaccine became publicly available in March, the first boosters wouldn't be needed until November if the schedule follows the other vaccines. Those with a compromised immune system are urged to get boosters now. In Texas and Florida are at the center of an escalating battle over mask mandates, with President Biden now directing his education secretary to use all his oversight authority against governors who are trying to ban school mask mandates. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has the details.
The divisiveness of masking school kids or not continues triggering protests by parents. From the local level school boards all the way up to the White House, Democrats are piling on against Republican governors who are doing all they can to prevent mandatory mask mandates that don't provide a parent opt-out for their kids. The latest coming last night at the Palm Beach County School Board meeting due to rising cases of kids COVID positive and hundreds of boys and girls now in quarantine. In a 6-1 vote, the board removed parents' ability to exempt their children, the latest school district to defy Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Miami-Dade and Tampa's Hillsborough counties did the same Wednesday. Orange County around Orlando now may join their mask mandate policies Tuesday. Broward and Alachua County already had, for which the State Board of Education unanimously voted Tuesday for unspecified sanctions. While the president didn't name names, the administration clearly is aiming at Republican governors like Texas's Greg Abbott, now COVID positive, and Florida's Ron DeSantis, both staunch opponents of mask mandates.
I'm directing the Secretary of Education, an educator himself, to take additional steps to protect our children. This includes using all of his oversight authorities and legal action, if appropriate, against governors who are trying to block and intimidate local school officials and educators.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona is now looking at deploying the department's civil rights enforcement arm to investigate states banning mask mandates and whether they violate the civil rights of children. Governor DeSantis is not backing down.
And you got to wonder, where are your priorities that you're so obsessed with this issue and so obsessed with taking away parents' rights, and you're letting Afghanistan burn, our border burn, and so many other things in our country fall to pieces?
While these renegade districts do allow a doctor to exempt a child, Palm Beach County doesn't even allow that, only with an exemption under federal disability law.
Authorities have identified the man who claimed to have a bomb in a truck near the U.S. Capitol earlier this morning. Police say 49-year-old Floyd Ray Roseberry engaged them in a standoff after driving onto the sidewalk in front of the Library of Congress. He allegedly said he had a bomb and showed an officer what looked like a detonator. Multiple buildings were evacuated. Roseberry eventually surrendered without incident. Authorities haven't announced a motive, and Roseberry posted several Facebook videos earlier today appearing to be holding an explosive device in his truck. He called for all Democrats, including President Biden, to step down and expressed frustration about the situation in Afghanistan. Roseberry frequently made pro-Trump posts and posted videos from Trump's Million MAGA March. After he surrendered, police said they are searching the vehicle to see if there's actually a bomb.
Well, we had a warm day out there today, and we have one more on the docket as we head through the day Friday, but then a little relief comes our way this weekend. Overnight tonight, though, still staying pretty mild. Temperatures only dip down to around 70 degrees. Mostly clear skies overhead. Southeast winds at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Through the day tomorrow, then, there's that hot, humid day. Afternoon highs back up into the upper 80s. Partly cloudy skies overhead. We'll see a few passing clouds at points through the day, but especially seeing increasing cloud cover through the later afternoon and into the evening hours. And not only is it going to be warm, it's going to be feeling quite muggy as well. Here's a look at the muggy meter. That shows dew points well into the 70s for our Friday. Fortunately, though, there is that relief that I mentioned there Saturday and Sunday. So as we head into the weekend, we do see those dew points start to fall a little bit more behind a cold front, but tomorrow it's going to feel quite sticky out there. As soon as you step outside, as temperatures continue climbing through the day, it's going to be feeling quite warm. By late morning through the entire afternoon and into the evening, it's going to feel like we are in the low to middle 90s across the area. So again, be sure if you're spending time outside that you are taking those frequent breaks. If you need to be outside the entire day, spend time in the shade. And if you can avoid spending the entire day outside, breaks in the AC would be highly encouraged. Now, one place that is always seemingly quite warm, the Iowa State Fair, and tomorrow it will feel just like that. Again, temperatures into those upper 80s, and we'll see that cloud cover on the increase through the day. We will also see those small chances for rain as we head through the afternoon and evening hours. Those rain chances then march their way towards us through the evening and overnight. That will all be firing up along a cold front that's passing through the state overnight and into early Saturday morning. Looking like most of the rain, though, is going to fall during the nighttime hours. Friday, the balance of the daytime, not looking to see that precipitation. Here we are at 4 p.m. seeing just a few clouds overhead, but then that increasing cloud cover through the late afternoon and into the evening. And again, those rain chances through the overnight hours and into early Saturday. By the time you're getting up and getting going Saturday, though, looking like rain has wrapped up for us across the area. So again, mainly during the overnight time frame for us there. Severe weather looking to stay to our west, but it is certainly close by, so still want to make sure everyone is paying attention to that potential. Right now looking like all of that, though, again, staying to the west. When it comes to rainfall totals, I think we are going to keep it pretty light, maybe a couple tenths up to about half an inch in some spots. Some heavier totals possible further to the south, but still overall really not looking at a widespread rainfall event, just more of that scattered shower activity in the overnight hours. Make sure you have that First Alert weather app. That will help keep you updated with any weather alerts that are associated with that next round of rain. Right now, though, again, it is in those overnight hours. So Friday, Saturday, the daytime hours, no need to cancel any plans as it looks like we will be dry. Temperatures then dip a little bit Saturday and Sunday down into those mid 80s, back up into the 90s, though, by early next week.
Thanks, Jan. A new nitrate sensor makes it easier for farmers to track field nutrients, and David Geiger has more on the Agribusiness Report.
Welcome, I'm David Geiger. Iowa scientists are inventing new ways to measure nitrates. Keeping nutrients in the soil and knowing how much to apply during the growing season is an important job for farmers, not only because of business costs, but also to help the environment. Nitrates in particular can leach into water systems and contribute to water quality issues downstream. And it's a challenge predicting how much is in the soil to know how much to apply to feed the crops. Mike Castellano, an agronomy professor at Iowa State University, says the conventional method is to scoop up a soil sample and ship it to a lab, where it's processed manually and returned in 5 to 7 days. That time plus cost prevents farmers from taking enough samples. So he and some colleagues worked to create a game changer, a brand new system that can get data immediately.
What we've been doing the past few years is working with electrical engineers at Iowa State University to develop sensors like this. Low cost, instantaneous, highly accurate, near continuous nitrate sensors.
There are a couple of problems with measuring nitrates. First off, Castellano says every acre of Iowa land has about 10,000 pounds of nitrogen. Over the course of a year, microbes in the ground will turn between 1 to 5% of that into nitrates, meaning there's a fluctuation of 100 to 500 pounds of nitrates released every year. And from their first sensor testing, that release can vary up to 100% day to day. So if a farmer wants a good yield, they have to guess that number plus the amount of synthetic fertilizer or manure to add on top of it.
Getting the right amount for the crop is tough because what farmers are trying to do is they're trying to predict how much in any given year, in any given field, the microbes are going to produce for them for free, essentially. How much they're going to lose to the environment, and then they've got to top that off with the fertilizer input.
Nitrates are a concern, and Castellano says everyone wants better management, but until now measurement was difficult. That's why he and his colleagues had to add to a conventional tool known as an ion selective electrode. Using that electrode was hard because there are a lot of ions like nitrates in the soil, similar enough to confuse sensors. So they had to invent something to go with it.
And so what my colleague Liang Dong in electrical engineering invented was an ion selective barrier. So think about it as just like a coating that goes over the ion selective electrode and it only allows nitrate ions.
The new sensor is working well. Castellano and his team is testing about 18 per plot, getting data every 10 seconds over 60 days. And they've experimented with conventional fertilizer levels, excessive levels, and fields with no fertilizer. The hope is to get the sensors out commercially in 1 to 2 years. Additionally, they're working on using sensors in corn stalks and drainage waters. And that's all I have for the Agribusiness Report today. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next time.
Coming up next, better news than expected on the jobless front. Jobless claims hitting a post-pandemic low. More coming up in Fox Means Business.
KYOU First Alert Weather is sponsored in part by the Ottumwa Courier.
Summer is funner. Summer is funner. Summer is funner. Summer is funner with videos in it. Summer is funner with the reckless minute. Summer.
Weekday mornings at 11 and 11:30 on KYOU Fox. Join the talk of the town. Follow the KYOU-TV Facebook page.
Live from Ottumwa, you're watching News for You at 9. Available anytime on KYOU-TV.com.
Here's better news than expected on the jobless front. Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis has that story and more in tonight's Fox Means Business Report.
Jobless claims hitting a post-pandemic low. 348,000 Americans filed first-time unemployment benefits last week. That's a lot fewer than analysts were expecting and the lowest amount since March of last year. And speaking of jobs, an overwhelming majority of remote workers want to keep working remote when the pandemic is over. A new poll by the company Kintone finds 72% of people currently working from home say that going forward, they wouldn't even consider working for a company that didn't offer flexible work from home policies. Stocks struggling to find direction Thursday. The Dow closed down a little, but the S&P 500 and NASDAQ eked out small gains. And Americans are reaping the benefits of the recent stock market run-up. According to Fidelity Investments, the average 401k balance soared to more than $129,000 at the end of last quarter. That's 24% higher than the same time last year. That's business. I'm Jerry Willis.
A lot of people have a drink to settle their nerves while flying. That option hasn't been available at American Airlines since earlier this summer, and now it won't be an option anytime soon. The suspension is part of the effort to cut down on unruly and violent passengers. Main cabin alcohol service at American was set to resume on September 13th when the transportation mask mandate was originally set to expire. That mandate has been extended to January of 2022. American says it's extending its suspension on main cabin alcohol drink service to match that date. And that is all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us right here on KYOU News for You at 9. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a great and very safe evening, everyone.